Hello and g'day to you all. I'm Donna and today I'm going to show you how to tea dye papers using an alphabet stencil. Using just your ordinary everyday tea and some normal white copy paper. It's just your everyday office paper, the cheaper variety, and a stencil. And when you use that stencil, you'll achieve a nice light image on tea stained paper that gives you an alphabet lettering. I'll show you, there's a darker one. So you can get it nice and light like that one, or you can have it darker like this one. And that's why I've got the second little cup of tea here. So I'm brewing that to make it a little bit darker. So I would normally do this on my big table, and I'm going to do it today in a small space just to show you that you can do this at home if you haven't got a studio set up like I do. It's much easier to do if you do 2 layers at a time. And besides that, when you do it with just 2 sheets of paper, it does dry quicker. If you stack it up, and say you use, stack up sheet after sheet after sheet, and it's wet, it takes a lot longer to dry. So 2 sheets, it's a good tip. It dries a lot quicker. So I'm just going to get the tea bags out of here and put them in here just so this colour is a lot darker than this colour. This is only very cheap tea bags. It's like 80 cents for a whole box. Now, to set up, because I'm on my craft table, I'll just have a sheet of plastic on the bottom, which is already under my towel. Right, so I'll just have that nice and flat. Have my tea bath here. Still got my cup of tea here. And I'll start off by putting the paper directly into the tea bath. Grab my second sheet. This is good if you've only got one stencil as well. Now I've got a few stencils. I've got this bigger one here and this big one here. Now on the back of this one is nothing. I've got no glues, no anything. It's quite clean. This one here, I've got a bit of repositionable glue. So I've just given it a very light spray. So you can hear it's a bit tacky. So I'm going to use that one. And then these smaller ones. That one's got tacky glue on it. That one's got none. But I'm not going to use them, but you can use this thicker variety as well. I did get a good impression from using this one before. So that's the one we're going to use today. So if you've only got one of these, just do 2 sheets at a, you can only do 2 sheets at a time. It does take a bit longer, but really you don't want to use these pages in a journal any more than 2 pages anyway in your signature, because it'll just be too much. It's just something nice. It's a nice surprise when you turn the page and see, something like this as a page. It looks really good. Okay, so we've got them nicely soaked now, so they should have got some good colour about them. So we'll just move it aside a little bit so I've got some room. I'm just going to take that out of the water bath and lay it down here. Right, so now I'll just put that straight down on my paper. See how there's got a nice pool of tea in there? That will give a nice impression in that area there. You want a good contact. If you don't have a good contact, that will bleed. It'll be like any stencil that's wet. If you have too much water, it'll bleed. So I'm just going to grab a paintbrush, and in this darker colour, I'm just going to put some pools of the tea randomly throughout this stencil. These little pools will give it, I don't want them to leak out, I want them to stay nice and flat. Try and keep that down. So when you push on it, they return. Just randomly flood those numbers and the alphabet letters. I want to do it quite quickly because I want to get this next sheet back on top. Now when I put this sheet on top, because it's wet, it will pool into those letters for me as well. Now what that will do now is that helps hold down that transfer nice and flat to give me even more colour in that bottom sheet. And I'll get a reverse pattern from this piece from the stencil as well. So I'll end up doing 2 sheets at once. One will have the lettering the right way up, and this top sheet will have it in reverse. Still very effective. So I'll turn off the camera now and I'll come back when this is dry. It'll take a few hours. If it's summer where you are, it'll dry quite quickly. It'll dry in 20-30 minutes. It's winter here in Australia. I am in my studio, so I'm indoors and I do have the fireplace going. It will still take a couple of hours to dry. So I'll come back to you when it's dry. So here it is, 2 hours later, and that's dry enough to handle. It looks pretty good. It's a shame I ripped it with the stencil, but I can still use this piece. So it's given me a lovely colour, and the stenciling worked out great. You can see the difference in the piece I done this one a good month ago, and the colours are quite different. So there wasn't as many tea bags in the bath water. Using my paintbrush and some extra strong tea, put some puddles of water in the stencil itself just to get that extra colour there and to give that contrast in the finished paper. And this one here, I just used a stronger colour in the tea bath and a little less pools of water throughout the stencil. So 2 entirely different looks. So depending on what you're looking for as to which way you do it, but you will get a different look each time you do it. So this is a very effective way to do some paper for your pages. It looks pretty good when you put these in your journal. I quite like them. I think they turned out nice. So it sort of comes through the other side a bit as well. Doesn't always do that. Like I said, you'll get a different look each time. I'd like to take this opportunity to invite you to my Facebook group, Junk Journal Ideas. Pop on over and join and share some pictures when you make your own stenciled alphabet pages, and come on in and share them. Share your photographs. Show me what you make with this. I'd love to see you there. I'm Donna, and bye for now.